and I'm proud to be a co-sponsor of your medical nutrition therapy bill. I think it's a great idea. I'm just going to ask very quickly a couple of closing questions because we have a vote on, and I know you need to get on to the rest of your program. Mr. Harris, I wanted to ask a question of you from the perspective of being a parent of a son with type 1 rather, who was diagnosed at such an early age, at age 2. And I would ask you, what advice do you have to other parents? And I'd like you to focus particularly on the Black community because Black teens have the largest increase in prevalence of type 1 diabetes.
Well, I would say that starting off, it's absolutely a devastating, to find out the news is absolutely devastating. The thing that we really tried to do was make sure that we found a support system of people we could talk to try to gain some knowledge. And that's one of the things that is great about today is that the awareness, people being aware of it and aware of the need for funding and all of those things is really important. But as a parent, I know the thing that we learned early on is that it's a moving target, trying to keep your numbers correct, trying to keep up with the advances in technology that are happening and all of those kinds of things. And the thing I would just say to parents is don't beat yourself up about it. We actually had a nurse that was helping us, that trained us in how to manage the disease back in the old days where it was still, the finger pokes and the syringes and all of that. And she actually came to help us one night, and Max actually went low. And this is somebody who's a professional who's teaching people how to, deal with the disease. And she called us in a panic and said, "Oh, he went low." And we said, "Yeah." And so I think having that real world experience helped her as someone who was then teaching other parents. And even the parents I talked to over the last couple of days, that's the thing I've tried to always say to them is just, it's a moving target. It's not always going to be right. But you figure it out, you deal with it. It's one of those things, too, that as soon as you think you've got it figured out, it's, something changes. Because the thing about particularly the young people here today is they're growing. So it's, their bodies are going to change, their attitudes about diabetes are going to change, and all of those things. So I think that the parental support is very important. I think across all communities, I know we talk about insulin affordability. I know that's a big piece of this also, that you have the tools to manage the disease in the right way. And I'm also struck by one of the things that's happening where I think a cure is the destination. And I think we all agree upon that as the destination. Sometimes we disagree, even if we know where the destination is, we disagree on how we're going to get there. What I've been encouraged in this room is that the destination of finding the cure has been the most important thing that we all agree upon. But I also have to say that I love the fact that we're also talking about, I guess, the road to get to the cure, to make sure that that road is an affordable road, that it's a smooth road, as smooth as it can possibly be. And so I just want to say that I am here to support. And my son, Max, was honored by JDRF a few years back, and he said that he vows that he will be here until we find that destination, till we get to that destination of a cure. And the thing that I'm encouraged about with all these young people here is when they look back and 10 years from now or however many years down the road they have kids and they have their families, and they're not going to have these conversations with their kids. It's going to be, what's diabetes? I've never heard of that before.
That'd be great.
That's going to be the nice thing. So, Senator Collins, I want to thank you for having me here today and allowing us all to speak and allowing all these young people to be here, because this is the future. And when diabetes is cured, each and everybody in this room is going to be a part of making that happen.
Thank you. Well said. Elise, I know that Senator Shaheen wanted to be here today. So on her behalf, I'm going to ask you a question, and that is, you live a very active life. You play all these sports. Could you tell us how important it is that the technology that you use allows you to play those sports and to have a very fulfilling, active life?
Yeah, well, it's definitely a challenge, but the technology that we have nowadays helps so much. I'm on the Omnipod, which it has a setting called activity, and I put that on 2 hours before any training or practice or game, and 2 hours after, and it basically more closely monitors my blood sugars and gives me less insulin so that I don't go low. And that is so important. It's helped me so much, and that was also funded by the Special Diabetes Program. So I'm really grateful for that. But it's really important to keep continuing that because playing in sports, you can go dangerously low.
Thank you. A great answer. And my final question is going to be for the president of JDRF. Doctor, we have worked so closely, Senator Shaheen and I, with you on the insulin question. And you have helped us, provided us with expertise in drafting our Insulin Act, which would reform the market to remove all of the perverse incentives that contribute to high prices, plus to put a $35 cap on monthly copays, and I think that is so important. It would also have important patient protection so that you don't have to go through prior approvals and all of the rigmarole that we hear about so often. So we've talked about today that some of the manufacturers have lowered their price to $35. I do think that's in response to our legislation. I'm glad they've done it, but I think that it's our legislation that caused them to do it. So just to get you on the record, do you believe that it's important that we still pass federal legislation like the Insulin Act that Senators Shaheen and I have introduced?
Well, Senator Collins, thank you, and Senator Shaheen, so much for your leadership on this topic. It's the #1 topic I face when I travel around the country, and I'm sure every parent in this room would bend your ear that it's still a problem. We're fully aligned and supportive of the Insulin Act. No one in this country should go for lack of food or rent or a car payment for insulin, which sustains their life. So we commend your work, and we will be supportive, and we look forward to seeing the Insulin Act pass.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I want to thank everyone for being here today. I have frequently said that every time I chair the Children's Congress, which I have done many, many times, I leave with a sense of renewed commitment. You inspire me. You saw that you inspired all of the members who are here today, and you can make the difference when you go see your members of Congress and urge them to support the Insulin Act, urge them to support the reauthorization of the Special Diabetes Program, which has been so successful in speeding up new technology that is making your lives better. Ultimately, we want a cure, and that is what we're all working toward. So thank you for coming from all over the country to be with us today, and a special thanks to Maria for coming with her mother from Yarmouth, Maine, to be with us today. With that, this hearing is, I got to get the gavel to make it official. This hearing is now adjourned.